Don't drink fountain water, you idiot. That's disgusting.
You know, if you told me a decade ago that one of my favorite film characters of all time would be a talking tree voiced by Vin Diesel that was only capable of saying 3 words, I'd probably look at you like you were an absolute crazy person. And yet, here we are, living in a world where Groot is pretty much everywhere. Heck, my mom has a dancing baby Groot figure on her living room bookshelf. This obscure character from a D-list comic that next to no one read is now a household name, and that's just wild. And part of what makes Groot so awesome is that we have gotten to see him grow up. Kind of. Quite a big time jump in there between Baby Groot and Teen Groot. And with the 3rd film coming along, eventually we're probably going to see an older Groot. Probably even an adult Groot again. And this Groot, apparently, might just be the most powerful version of the character that we have ever seen on the big screen. Wait a second, how exactly? I mean, the dude is pretty powerful already. Look at all those Outriders. Hard to imagine being any more overpowered than that. Well, that's what the rumors and talk around Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 are saying. And in this video, we're going to take a look at everything that we know and determine how this could be the case. Complete with a whole lot of speculation, because you know that we love that stuff. Now let's dive right into it. So let's start this video off by quickly going over exactly what has happened to my boy Groot over the course of his previous appearances in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The events that will lead to him becoming the beast that it is sounding like he may be in Volume 3. The most defining thing that has happened to the talking tree has got to be what happened at the end of the very first Guardians of the Galaxy film. The team found themselves stuck on Ronan's ship as it plummeted towards the surface of Xandar. Things were looking pretty dire. That is, until Groot started growing branches and wrapped them all in a protective ball. Of course, when the impact occurred, the team was saved, not so much Groot, whose sacrifice allowed them to face off against Ronan in a dance battle. It turned out to be okay though, as one of the random twigs left over from adult Groot that Rocket picked up sprouted into a little baby Groot, which sort of makes us wonder if all the pieces did that as well. Was there just a forest of baby Groots left behind on Xandar? I guess it doesn't really matter much now because, you know, Thanos. Now, this new Groot had a bit of an exciting childhood, with the Guardians flying around doing all kinds of heroics for the right price. And this may have had an impact on the abilities of Groot. See, we don't really know what the life of adult Groot was like before the first film. We do know that he had been running around with Rocket for a little while, but before that, he might have lived a quiet life. This new Groot, though, has grown up around action. Grown up under fire, as it were. So this Groot might be the most experienced version of the character. I mean, the dude faced off against Thanos and his armies as a teenager. Just imagine what an adult version of that character could do. And we might be seeing the beginning of hints at his full potential in the 4th Thor film, Thor: Love and Thunder, which apparently is going to feature the Guardians of the Galaxy, who Thor is of course still hanging out with following the end of Avengers Endgame. But you'd imagine that Marvel would save the real, overpowered version of Groot for the 3rd Guardians film, naturally. But what could that character look like? What could we have to expect from a super powerful Groot? Well, just look at King Groot, the colossal tree being who is the reigning monarch of Planet X, the world from which the Flora Colossi, Groot's species, originated. Yeah, Groot has an actual homeworld that has a name and everything. The more you know. King Groot is a massive being, made up of the same wood-like substance as any other members of the Groot race, which, fun fact, is not actually wood. It is instead a bioreactive dendronic material, also known in layman's terms as sentient wood. It has the ability to grow and regrow at will, which is exactly what we see Groot use in fights. So, okay, are we really just gonna see this future Groot being really big, or just a much more competent fighter? Well, it might be a bit more than that. See, the man behind Groot himself, Vin Diesel, recently stated that the Groot we will be seeing in Volume 3 is shaping up to be what he refers to as Alpha Groot. Of course, referring to the old idea of the Alpha, the pack leader, the dominant one. So what would an Alpha Groot look like? Certainly this again hints back to the whole King Groot idea. But what does it really mean? Well, in my opinion, this could all come down to an ability of Groot's that we haven't really seen in the films yet in any way: his chlorokinesis. See, in the comics, Groot has the ability to communicate with and even control plants of all shapes and sizes. So follow with me here for a second. What if Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to see Groot finally realize that he has this ability? Maybe he'll embrace it and summon forth an army of plants to help fight in the final battle against whatever enemy we wind up seeing. It is a bit too far out for us to be able to say for sure who he's gonna be fighting. Speaking of which, to help with the rest of this video, let's take a second to speculate about who we might see as the villain of Guardians Volume 3. Now, with the team appearing in Thor 4 to some degree, it's possible that the whole Gamora situation could be handled in that film. So we don't really have a lot to go off of in terms of their next standalone film. But let's think in terms of what could help build out the MCU in the best way. A lot of discussions regarding the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe have centered around who the next big bad could be. Who could possibly top Thanos in terms of being a threat? Well, one name is pretty much always thrown around amongst fans when the topic comes up: Galactus, the World Eater. Now, the Guardians aren't going to face off against Galactus all on their own. He isn't usually a traditional opponent of that team, but there is a character who is often affiliated with Galactus that is a member of the Guardians Rogues Gallery, a man by the name of Korvac. Korvac was a man from another version of Earth who, after being defeated by that universe's version of the Defenders and the Guardians of the Galaxy, eventually made his way to the main comic universe. So anyways, when Korvac made it into the main comic universe, he encountered the space station that belonged to Galactus, which led to him actually getting imbued with some of the cosmic being's energy, effectively becoming godlike in his own right. Over the years, Korvac has come into conflict with the Guardians on numerous occasions, and could fit pretty well into the MCU if they are intending to use Galactus as the big bad. Now let's bring it back around to Groot, and how the more powerful version of the character that we talked about a little bit earlier on in this video could fit into this conflict. Because, you know, that's the entire point of this video. See, the Guardians don't exactly lack in experience going up against godlike beings. Their second outing saw them facing off against Ego. However, they were fighting him in a place where he was at his most vulnerable. What if they were going up against someone who had been powered up by energy from a being that was capable of devouring worlds, and weren't really able to take advantage of an obvious weak spot? They would probably need some help for that one. Enter Groot and his army of plants that he has communicated with and is controlling via his aforementioned chlorokinesis, leading a pack of plants, like the Alpha Plant, the Alpha Groot, as it were. Though if we are talking about beings that have been imbued with cosmic energy, we should touch upon the powers that Groot could develop if he himself were to be granted such energy, like he did in the comics when he was exposed to the power of the Black Vortex. The Black Vortex was created by a Celestial and appeared to be a fancy-looking mirror. However, when someone looks into it, they see not their regular reflection, but what they would look like if they lived up to their full cosmic potential. And if they willingly choose to submit themselves to the Black Vortex, they would indeed be granted the powers shown. When Groot went through this, he almost completely changed inside and out, and was granted the ability to survive in the vacuum of space unaided, the power of flight, began emanating some sort of bioelectric energy, and grew to an even larger size, which also boosted his already significant levels of strength. So, okay, let's suppose that the plot of Guardians Volume 3 sees Korvac attempting to gain control of the Black Vortex, perhaps for, say, the purposes of trying to protect the universe from Galactus by controlling it himself, which totally sounds like the motivation of an MCU villain. Maybe Groot will submit himself to the Black Vortex and gain these powers, granting him the ability to go head-to-head directly with a cosmically powered Korvac, and giving us the Alpha Groot that we have heard about. Now, would this lead to the most powerful version of the character that we've ever seen? Yeah, since this particular iteration of Groot would basically be a god, which is just awesome. Either way, the future for the character is looking quite bright, and I, for one, cannot wait to see him in both the fourth Thor film and the third Guardians, regardless of whatever power level he winds up being at. What do you think of the idea that Groot might be borderline godlike in Guardians 3? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and while you're down there, why not consider subscribing to ScreenRant for more awesome videos just like this. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.